Hi.
Hi. Let me just fix this here. Okay, how are you?
Not too bad.
It looks sunny there.
It is very sunny there. I can't close the curtains.
That's awesome. It's a little sunny, but it's chilly. I've been wearing a sweater all day. So you got your cards?
Yes.
So did you see the doctor about your knee?
But my knee is not bothering me so much there, so I didn't talk to him about my knee.
Good.
I'm walking it.
Good. So I guess we're going to start with the queens and the kings.
Yeah.
So have you been practicing doing readings?
Yes, I have.
Good. So we'll do some of these cards, and then I want to practice and explain those first 3 cards I put on the group of the Celtic Cross.
Okay.
And then we actually will be getting into the major arcana. I'm just getting all my queens ready. And then now you can see the direction that the people are going into, right?
Right. And since I got my new cards, I started listening to each class recording separately again there and getting to know the cards over again.
Yeah, it makes more sense then, hey?
Yes.
And once you learn what these cards all mean and you connect with them, you'll be able to read anything. I can play poker good because of the cards.
Yeah.
I got one more of the king and queens. We're going to do kings and queens. Let me see. One more of the kings. Where is it?
Oh, I'm missing 2 kings.
I know I have to go through. I'm looking for 1 king. Oh, I found mine. So this week, when you're doing readings, we're going to use all of the cards except for the major arcanas. Okay?
Okay.
And we're going to do readings about ourselves and see what pages or knights or kings or queens come up, because they'll actually represent people around you. So I'm just going to put these together so that all my majors are out.
Turn this around a little bit more easier. I fell asleep in the car.
When?
Just a while ago, coming back from town, I got so fed up I crawled in the back seat and let the driver drive home. I was in the back seat of the car.
How do you feel after your nap?
Felt great.
Wow, you must have went through some energy there, hey?
Yeah.
Last night? Oh my gosh. There was so much going on around here, and my head just got so dizzy when I messaged you, and I think it was because of all the conflict that was going here. So I couldn't even stay coherent. It was really weird. So I went and had to lay down.
It looked bad.
Oh, it was horrible. I feel great today.
That's great.
I think it was just a lot, too much. And then we had our guests here, and we're trying to make everything good so that they can't tell that there's a big war going on between us and the people next door. And they're all like yelling stuff, and I'm hoping that it was horrible. But you know what? I went into the TV to see what they said, and they said it was the most peaceful place ever. I was like, yeah, but it wore me right out. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you got your queens and kings?
Yes.
Awesome. So let's begin with the queens. So whenever we see queens in a reading, it always represents women over 18 years old. And they always represent females. Or they could be, if the woman is if the woman is the queen, it could represent her qualities. Okay, so a lot of times, if you get a queen card on that first card during the Celtic cross, that would represent the person's characteristics and qualities, and you know who's sitting in front of you. So if it was the Queen of Swords, I know that I have a very strong woman that's in front of me. She wants to move forward. She's, mastered control in her life in the way she wants it. And now she wants to have confirmation on where she's headed, right? So whenever the queens represent the first card in a reading and you're sitting with a woman, that usually represents her and the characteristics that she's mastering in her life right now, as well as dealing with. Now, if it's you and you know that, or if you're doing a reading for yourself and one of these queens comes up anywhere in the reading, and it would usually represent another woman and an interaction that's going to take place. And a lot of these cards, you can see a lot of them are representing outdoors. So whenever there are outdoor cards in the tarot, then you know that they are exterior. So they're coming to you. There's a few cards where the person is at home, right? And so in the minor arcana cards, you'll see some cards where they're in the house or in their yard or at the table, right? And that would represent their inner worlds. So let's go to the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands, and if you have them all in a row, you'll see that two of them are facing the past. Two of those females. So the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups are both facing the past. But one is kind of looking down at the present. The Queen of Pentacles is facing the past, but she's kind of looking at the present to me. And then you have the Queen of Wands, which is looking at the future. And the Queen of Swords, which is also looking at the future. I would say the Queen of Wands is probably the most present. So they're focused on their day-to-day and moving into the future. But you can see the direction of where they're looking is very important in the readings. Okay? So the Queen of Wands represents all three fire signs. So most of the time, the woman, if she was a Leo, it would represent the Queen of Wands. And this card represents the lion energy. So it belongs to the feline energy. And in a lot of traditions and magical traditions, they say that the feline energy is celestial and sometimes from another planet. Very magical. So it represents, you gotta wanna take note on the black cat at the bottom of her feet. And in astrology, this energy represents joy, attention, rulership, and being the queen of their jungle. So they have control in their life and they have it exactly the way they like it. And it also represents their career, their domestic life, and their social life and their connections with the people around them. So they love adventure, they're quieter, but they're very connected, okay? And they are more private about themselves. So gold is a sign of Leo and the sun, and that's the color of the gown. And both the gold coloring and the sunflower she's holding suggest spiritual awareness. And that represents all of the feelers and aspects that she has and that she's connected to in her life. So she lives with spiritual awareness, but yet she's very open and she's compassionate and she has a good heart. She likes magic, so she is spiritual, and she's intelligent and ambitious. And this queen does like to have attention. So her ideas are about creating some kind of social or circle, okay? And that's why a lot of spiritual people that want to start businesses will represent this card. And you would know by the money and more wands around. If it was more personal, these would be more wands with cups. Okay? And could also be a little bit of swords, but not really. The other thing is, as with other wands, court cards, people respond to this woman. She exudes honesty and warmth as well as competency. The Queen of Wands is happy, positive, sunny, much like the disposition attributed to her. Because she belongs to the suit of wands, we can expect a courageous, adventurous spirit and an ambitious, enterprising nature. So creative with strong ideas, this woman asserts herself for a cause. Frequently, career is her motivation. She will also be involved in social conditions, politics, campaigning, personal self-expression, performance, sports, creativity, and self-growth through self-discovery. Intensely and joyously, she's involved with everything she creates. She participates also in family and domestic decision-making. Nature is one of her many loves, as drama, independent self-expression, and learning. Confidently, moving with foresight, she courageously accomplishes whatever she puts her mind to. Creative, resourceful, positive, popular, she knows how to give as well as to take. She has a sense of authority and power and can influence people and her surroundings. She is often found as a leader within the home, family, group, organization, or career. She knows how to catch flies with honey, as well as using her feminine charm and beauty to influence others. So she uses her charisma and energy. This woman enjoys healthy competition and approaches life with an adventurous spirit. She possesses strong personal feelings concerning subjects that are important to her. And so when I explain that, I see a lot of you in that card. Yeah, I definitely do. Right now in your life, I can sense a lot of that in your spirit. Now, when that card is reversed, it is one of the striking features about the Queen of Wands that is negative. And with her black cat symbolizing represents seduction and deceptions. So whenever that Queen card is upside down, there's deception around. And it's usually with another person. And it would be female above 18. And the only time that would be your own deception is if it's up on the higher self or in the past or in the present. That would represent something around that you're being told you need to be aware of. So a reverse, whenever it comes up, is the caution card. And the Queen reversed represents that they are using her, she's using her sexuality or her charm, and she's forcing her way into a situation for her own goals and ambitions. So her desires are egotistical, they're ruthless, so she would be one that would cheat, right? And she will and she is very competitive and vengeful and jealous and greed. So most of those energies are what's motivating her. And she's also bullying. So a lot of times I do get that when people are being abused by a woman. Sometimes a man, when you're reading, you can see that this is this one woman is around and having a negative effect on him. So it's always represents something that is destructive. And in a milder form, when it's reversed, it means that they're pushy and narrow-minded, and they're telling lies to accomplish some kind of goal. So there's devious methods, and they also want to manipulate. They're finding force and power off of it, so they get crafty, trying to influence others. So whenever I see that, I know that they're in a me first, my way type of place. And I will always have something that is available for my clients for protection. So if you are going to start doing readings in person, having some stones that they could get for protection, or a root, or even the agrimony in class, right? Have something that you can say, this is something you can do to break that. Or you can also, whenever a card comes upside down, you can always ask another question. How can we change this? Right? Or even if you find a card in a reading and you don't know what it means, pull 3 more, tell them pull 3 cards, or you pull 3 cards, and just when you pull them say, tell me more, I don't understand, right? Because we're linking certain information and cards and influences together, so it will give us more information. We just have to ask for it. There's times where I'm reading someone and oh my gosh, where I have to really ask more questions to just get more information because it's so hard to get. And some people are more open than others, right? So, oh.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to get through to them or whatever. So let's go to the Queen of Cups. So the red, I always remember the red hair on that card, hothead. And it's not really actually red, but they could have a little strawberry blonde in it. So the redhead is the Queen of Swords. But let's go to the Queen of Cups. The color of the hair, whether it's short, long, curly, those do often make sense. So if you are trying to connect, use the character traits that you're seeing. Okay? So the Queen of Cups represents the symbol of water, the color blue, and the beach where the tide rolls in. It suggests the habitat, water taking the shape of its container. The idea here is that the Queen of Cups' sensitivity and emotional nature are so prominent that often she becomes absorbed in and molded by her surroundings. She assumes the moods and feelings of others, hurts where they hurt, rejoice where they rejoice. If support is needed, she's there. If understanding is necessary, she intuitively senses it and responds. Often she is prophetic about those close to her and their lives. The Queen of Cups loves harmony and peace. Unlike the Queen of Wands, who searches for adventure and life's excitement, this queen treasures tranquility. So she treasures tranquility and the time to dream, imagine, and contemplate. Her environment is decorated with mementos of friends and family, for she cherishes remembrances of those who she loves. Love is the general play. a strong role in her life in which much time and effort are devoted to the needs of those she's caring about. Emotional and intuitive, this queen often senses the feelings of her comfort and loved ones and takes great satisfaction in performing the support and comfort of those around her. Her life is often geared toward fulfilling others, while her dreams remained locked up and inside her, perhaps someday to be fulfilled. When her dreams are expressed, they are of a creative nature. They represent art, music, poetry, writing, and all creative fields. Psychic sensitivity and intuition are very strong within her, and she may pursue goals of discovering this powerful subconscious part of herself. The occult, psychology, philosophy, religion, and mysticism are her interests. Facing the sea with her throne perched along the shoreline, she dwells on the edge of a powerful, imaginative, psychic, and subconscious depths, and can dip into these forces at will. Her lovingness is total and devoted, and it soothes and calms like a warm wave of affection. Excessive sensitivity makes her vulnerable to fluctuating moods and imaginative rejections. When this woman ventures into the world, she finds it difficult to relate to others without becoming overly sensitive and psychically vulnerable. Perhaps this is the reason why she retreats into safety of her home and limits her empathetic giving to her very close friends and family. Otherwise, she is too subject to the vibration she perceives from others. Her emotions would be continual turbulence if she was constantly open and responding to people. This queen is sensitive, sympathetic, emotional, and imaginative, and often has a love of music, poetry, literature, and arts, as well as dedication to home and family. So I could see lots of aspects of you in that one.
I could see my cousin in that one too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so you get to see what people flash into you. The other thing that we want to take in consideration also is that when these come up, that means that they have most likely crossed paths with all of the other cups up until the queen. So they have mastered it, do know how to control it, even though they can still be influenced by it. The queens are always the mastery of us. And for us to be completely whole and powerful in our nature, we want to actually accomplish each one of these queens and withhold that character trait in us and every one of these cards. So it's pretty awesome. So when the Queen of Cups is upside down, then that means her oversensitivity can become unbearable. So when it means that she's sacrificing herself for others, she's becoming insecure, emotionally weak, resentful, vulnerable. She seeks to escape these problems that are emotional and she has a need for acceptance. She's confused and indecisive. She steps into an escaped kind of world filled with illusions and unrealistic dreaming and fantasy. Perhaps there's alcohol or drugs that are there that she's using on her own. Her fears have brought her to this tiny, unrealistic universe. There's morbid worries. There's interference with her psychic abilities. There's frightening dreams that haunt her. Daydreams are negative, imagining the worst possible events. She's unable to forget and release the unhappy past. When it's reversed, it could also represent a woman who can be emotionally unbalanced. Her judgments are wrong. They're fearful, unrealistic. Reality escapes her, and she seeks to escape reality. Her downs and her personal emotional problems take her on a tidal wave of ups and downs, drowning her in emotional confusion. She needs to lead with her head, not her heart, and apply discipline. The Queen of Cups reversed must learn to be objective rather than interpreting everyone and everything in her life as personally against her. And so did anyone flash in your mind with that?
That cousin I was talking about, upside down.
Yeah, exactly. So when you cross paths with people that hold those character traits, you know what's up,
Yeah.
right?
But
Crazy.
you can't tell that to somebody when you're reading cards, like you have a drug problem, you have.
I do. I don't say you have. I don't say that, but I will say there is an emotional imbalance. And if you find that you are craving drugs and alcohol to numb your feelings, then you're in a place that needs healing. Whenever these are coming up upside down, they need to heal from this and break their mentality, right? And you have to remember, when these are upside down, they also represent the unawakened and the non-spiritual women. Like a lot of them that don't have any spiritual anything are cold-hearted, right?
Yeah.
And they do have these traits.
Excuse me for a minute, somebody's knocking on the door.
Yeah, no problem. Hey. I couldn't do the top.
No, I didn't think so. Why did you?
That was work. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'll just let them handle it.
So you don't have to leave?
No.
Okay, good. So the other thing is with the Queen of Cups is she's looking at the past. So if I'm doing a reading for myself and the Queen of Cups is coming up in the present or in the future, actually, let's go in the Celtic Cross 2 up even, then I know that there's going to be a situation with something that has to do with the past. And the other thing is these cards can also represent people that are passed away. And normally they would represent people that are passed away if it was up in the higher self, which you'll see in the Celtic Cross. Okay? So they'll represent, and that's when I know, oh, there's a female spirit around you that's very dominant. And then I can tell, or in your life, and I can tell them the character traits of them. Okay? So let's go do the Queen of Swords. Now, both of those, the Wands and the Queen of Cups, both have short hair. Or it could be tied up in them. But normally, I get the short hair with people. Or you'll go with the hair color, you're never wrong. Okay. So the Queen of Swords facial features are sharply defined. So look at her face. Okay? Denoting a keen mind and action with intent. There's birds, clouds, sylphs, and butterflies symbolizing the power of mental abilities attributed to the element air. Her firm grasp of the sword suggests her understanding of these energies and the correct use of their powers. A Victorian mourning bracelet is prominently displayed on her wrist, telling us of past hurts, loss, and grief. And that's that. You can see her bracelet, right?
Right.
Queen of Swords is strong. The quality of rulership is attributed to her. At one time, the traditional interpretation of this queen was a woman of suffering, loneliness, and the loss of loved ones. Sorrow beset her, and her life was filled with grief. Nowadays, we view the Queen of Swords from a different perspective. Her aloneness does not indicate loneliness. Instead, it suggests independence. A woman may be married or otherwise attached and still could be represented by the Queen of Swords, indicating that she is self-reliant and on her own to a large extent within the relationship's tie. Freely, individually, she rules her life. Because she belongs to the sword suit, her intellect is what's highlighted. She is strongly opinionated, analytical, and mentally astute. She has quick, intense, and versatile intelligence, which she uses to make fair and well thought out decisions. Her head rules over her heart, so she feels it out mentally first and then allows it to go into her heart, which also means she picks and chooses what she will allow herself to feel. She analyzes her feelings and keeps her emotions checked. Gently but firmly, she counsels and guides those around her. Her unique ability is to view both sides of situations with depth, and it provides her with the advantage of mental clarity and accurate judgments. Learning and mental pursuits attract her. She's interested in the powers of the mind and her psychological work. She can analyze and define, direct and concentrate, discipline, and aggressively persevere toward her goals and beliefs. Her motivations are toward action and experiencing life, participation in accomplishments, and achieving personal liberty. Her mind is her weapon in the battlefield of life. It can be sharp and critical, perceptive and analytical. She may experience difficulties in life, setbacks, and life's problems. Her image is powerful, revealing that she has overcome her obstacles and risen over her enemies, and who she may have others in her life as well. She has full control of it. She is fair. She's into equality and liberation, humanity and education, and are her causes. She's usually in the communication field, from speaking to journalism to technology and teaching. Those are the interests designated to her. When this card is reversed, then misery loves her. She's a Queen of Swords. She will fill you with bad energy and news and gossip. The Queen forms you of her opinions, which are always negative, they're suspicious, and they're discouraging. Regardless whether you've asked for them or not, she's got something to say. The trademark of the Queen of Swords reversed is her insistence on living in the past. Usually an unhappy memory haunts her, and she refuses to bury it and get rid of this painful past incident. So bitterness, she drags her unhappy past into her present, as if to wear it and to wear her misery as a shield of self-defense. Using it as an excuse not to exert herself towards growth, she darkens her present and poisons the future of those who come under her influence. In reverse, her sword of victory becomes a weapon for retaliation and revenge. Still mentally active, she turns her mind into cunning and manufactures manipulative, devious plans. Her swords can be cruel, her judgments prejudiced and harsh, and she may be cold. She may send out accusations and use that as her defense. The hardships life has handed to her have become too overwhelming. She develops a chip on her shoulder and becomes unhappy. Her opinions may be one-sided, misinformed, and not to be trusted. This card carries qualities of prejudice, self-pity, deception, backstabbing, and poor decision-making. Crazy, hey?
Yeah.
And you know what the other thing is? In our life, as a woman, we have been in some of those things.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're sitting there going, oh, like that's where we had to, that's where that influence was in our life, to overcome that or to recognize it. And that's why she's facing the future. So whenever she comes up, it does have to do with the future path. And if it's reversed, cleansing and getting rid of negative mental habits, like a total shift and realignment. And sometimes that involves healing. Wow, hey?
Yeah.
So the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles, you can see dark hair. I always think she's got long dark hair behind that veil. But the Queen of Pentacles is enthroned outdoors in a fertile abundance of her environment. So this is her yard. This woodland picture with flora and fauna suggests prosperous results from all of her energies. This is a result from her, this is a woman who communes with nature and is innately productive and creative. Business, property, possessions, and money succeed and flourish under her domain. Cautious, conservative, wise, and practical. The Queen of Pentacles is trustworthy and emotionally mature. Because she reigns in the suit of Pentacles, this queen values security and stability to the other Pentacles card, making her successful in her own making. So whenever that card comes up, she is successful. She knows how to handle money. She's mastered it. Even if she's not working, she's mastering the money that other people are bringing in. So she's very balanced, and because she understands the cycle of money, she'll never go poor once she's reached the Queen of Pentacles. So she has created a foundation of success under her own making. Similar to the Pentacle Court cards, she's steadfast and persevering when it comes to achieving her goal or financial independence. Often these women are steadily employed and career-minded, willing to work hard for luxuries, security, and personal independence is what they cherish. Ownership of valuables, property, and companies are part of the Queen of Pentacles' intentions. The Earth Queen personifies the traditional associations of finances and employment with the Pentacle suit. She also holds the realistic, practical attributes belonging to the Pentacles and the qualities of creativity and the love of nature. So creating a beautiful environment is one of her many abilities. Her ideas are constructive, they're well organized. She tends toward possessiveness with loved ones and is willing to invest time, energy, and money in helping others become secure. In her estimation, responsibility is what life is all about. She realizes that through the acceptance of it, she will achieve the financial rewards and the reputation she richly deserves. The Queen indicates a creative woman who contributes care, reason, and imagination. Her home is important to her, and she expresses her creativity there as well as in business, work, family, and nature. This queen needs to develop security within herself rather than relying on her possessions to give her comfort and stability. She's confident, realistic, and practical. So remember, the key, especially in that one, is needs to deliver security within herself rather than relying on her possessions. So this one loves money and may not be, you know, more spiritual, right? So sometimes you'll have someone coming in and you know that there isn't much cups involved in their reading. So you know that they don't even focus on spirituality, right? A lot of times when I do the reading and this comes in and that's the first card in the reading, I know that they're here because they need to know about their finances. So the cards that come up as their significator, the first card is always who they are and what they represent when they're sitting across from us. Or if we're doing a reading for ourselves about something, and whatever card comes up as the significator, that represents the energy of who we are towards that subject, right? So sometimes I'll look at a card and I know I need to adjust myself, right? It's easy to figure that out. You're like, whoa, okay, that's how the universe is seeing your energy towards something, right?
I've been flipping cards and I've been getting the aces.
Good.
Last week there.
Wow. So that represents, you know, angelic energy and miracles and good things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you think you'll understand the queens? Oh, I didn't do the reversed, did I?
No.
Okay, so reversed, the Queen of Pentacles is insecure and unsure of herself. And in the reversed position, her creativity remains stagnant. And she has little financial power or independence. So she relies on others to make decisions for her and brought her to a very unstable position. She becomes moody, blames others for her problems. Stubbornly, she refuses to assume responsibility for her own life and actions, expects others to pay for it. Her preference is to live her own life and actions, and it's her life. It represents relying on others to direct her thoughts and actions too. So she may be insecure and lack confidence. She doesn't bother with herself or her home's appearance and becomes non-committal and untrustworthy. Her skills are unused. Her house could be a wreck. She is sad, weak-willed, and she's vacant. So that means like she's somewhere else and she's not giving too much energy to her life's affairs. On that, whenever that card comes up, I know when it's reversed, I know what type of person it is. For me, it's one of my brother's wives. Like, like so bad. Like so bad, like her to a T. So you'll get certain personality triggers in the cards, and you know what they're dealing with, or what type of person they are, the whole thing. So yeah, that one's I always look at that as like the undomesticated women, you know, the ones that leave their house filthy and won't wash their dishes or won't put their kids to bed, or, you know, like they just lost that touch.
Yeah.
And it's because they're expecting someone else to pay for it. So the kings, are you ready?
Yeah.
So the kings, let's do, have them all standing out. I'll put mine up here so I can see them too. And you can see the direction that they're looking in. And if you actually take a look with the queens of each suit, that like the kings and the queens, you'll notice that the men and the women are looking in different directions. So not one of those cards, okay, you look at the Queen of Cups is looking at the past, but the King of Cups is looking at the present. You have the The Wands, she's looking at the present and kind of looking at the future, where the King of Wands is looking at the past, right? So you can see that there's no pairing with the direction between the male and the female. The female of the Swords is looking at the future, and the King of the Swords is looking at the present. And the Queen of Pentacles, she's looking down at her money and everything she's built up, where the King of Pentacles is looking at his money right now. So I always find that interesting, that the queens and the kings are not looking in the same direction. And sometimes when those two come up in a reading, then you can see where the division in a relationship is taking place. And maybe they're both, you know, the same topic is in play, but the direction and the comprehension of their life is not connected or balanced. So the kings, they always represent men who have matured. Because remember, when it comes to the tarot, the men also have, they have the pages, the knights, and the kings. We, as women, just go from the pages to the queens. Okay? So the men, they have an extra step they need to take to mature.
Yeah.
And so whenever we get a king card, they have matured, they're settled, and they've achieved this position in life. So like us and the queens, they've mastered this already. So the rules for the kings are the same as the queens. The kings are people or aspects of the characters in true life and in the cards. And there is one exception to this. The King of Swords reversed can indicate an event which could be unfair or a decision that's prejudiced against the seeker. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind. So let's do the King of Wands first. So the King of Wands is a creative, enterprising person who always needs a situation to challenge him or an ambitious goal to excite him. He takes pleasure on healthy competition in the games of business, politics, athletics, and gains attention by staging lively arguments, heated debates, and laughing, joking, and teasing. So the King of Wands has finally reached his ambitious career goals and may now turn to a world where others need his assistance. So he is a leader and does offer something to others. Basically, he's a warm, generous character. He becomes involved with service clubs. He becomes a humanitarian. He likes organizations and contributing. His commanding and effective presence to help, advertise, organize, or accomplish goals. So perhaps he has been overly ambitious and self-involved. Now that he's achieved his success, he feels he needs to do some giving or caring to benefit others. He believes that life is a stage, and he aspires towards a starring role at the performance. Self-starting and ambitious, he prefers to work independently and to be the boss. Above all, this king is to be lived and experienced. With joy and anticipation, he plunges continuously into new enterprises, relinquishing the excitement of participation and adventure. Courageous and friendly, he enjoys the outdoors, people, sports, and competition. He is husband and family man, involved in politics, community, or groups and organizations. His career, he likes to use his natural decisiveness, charisma, and foresight as a leader, manager, or administrator. So he's honest, he's generous, and trustworthiness. He is loyal. If that card is reversed, and look at that little thing on him, that salamander, that means he can actually use that as his character trait. He knows how to manifest and get things going. So reversed, the King of Wands has lost his friendly, generous qualities. He's selfish, he's righteous, he's demanding, he looks for tactics and may dominate his once open and sharing personality. He's arrogant and has created a little empire for a self-serving self, to the exclusion of all people, places, and things that are not adhering to his policies. He grows suspicious, closing and confining his world to his own self-seeking adventure and egotistical gratification. I want everything done now and my way, declares this King of Wands reversed. He may be ready for a dispute to enforce his demands. He could be temperamental and severe, prejudiced and narrow-minded, argumentative, domineering, selfishly wanting his own way. He is bossy, yet dislikes being told what to do. Anyone ever cross your path like that?
I could say some.
Yeah. So you can see some of those character traits that, you know, we've experienced, even with people we don't even know, right?
Yeah.
So the King of Cups, I like the King of Cups, and this guy is looking at the future, so he's connected with his heart, and he's moving forward. So the King of Cups has a deep understanding of life and its inner psychological and spiritual meaning. He applies his intense intelligence into probing the depth of the soul. Whatever this king may be involved in, his purpose is always deeply sincere. The water rolling in the waves through the card indicates the emotional powers that this king has, stirring him into meaningful action. His position in life may be one of creative fields or the arts. Medicine, law, counseling, and business are major areas of interest. His resoluteness and moral courage motivate him with emotional energy and purpose to feel strongly about the beliefs in which he becomes involved with. He possesses powerful subconscious powers of intuition, imagination, and creativity. At the first encounter with this king, you may not realize the intensity behind his passionate yet well-controlled, quiet, and intellectual self-presentation. As you come to know him further, his deep feelings and profound caring become evident. He feels genuine concern for people, loved ones, and social conditions. This part of his character emerges gradually, and people's admiration for him become great respect. Responsible and caring, genuine and compassionate, he is like a treasure recovered from the depth of his element, the unfathomable sea. He enjoys artist, philosophy, psychological, and scientific pursuits. And this person can also be a legal or medical advisor or a counselor. So reversed, the King of Cups represents an emotionally immature man. So having never to come to terms with his feelings, he may appear defensive, sarcastic, neurotic. Sensitivity problems abound as he drowns his agitation in the pursuit of a variety of illusions. He lies to himself about his feelings and may reinforce his self-discipline with the use of alcohol, drugs, sexual escapades, and senseless and meaningless pursuits of a deluded nature. When reversed, he can be untrusted, and his advice may be inaccurate. His words are insincere. They are calculated to manipulate and deceive others to his own advantage. Emotional problems, when buried in the subconscious, can create some serious unhealthy dependencies. Frightened and threatened, by his own sensitivity, he may conceal his insecurity by presenting a distant or uncaring facade. Other manifestations of this king personality problems are weakness and ineffectualness, which he may or may not conceal in the outer show of hostility. Brutal, hey? Yeah, that's what I was seeing. I got one. I got one like that too in not in my home, not but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, those ones are nightmares to deal with. You just can't get through to them.
I know.
The King of Pentacles. I like the King of Pentacles, unless it's reversed. So whenever we see a king upside down, we know they're closed, right? They're just, I see them as unaware and in a not correct mindset. They're selfish in every way. So the King of Pentacles, we find someone that is seated all around his possessions and wealth. His hard work and perseverance have paid off richly. He now is at a stage in his life where he can pause to reflect on this large accumulation of growth. This king has achieved much in the financial area of life, involving investments, buying and selling, property and land deals, business or agriculture. He has the unique ability to look at the land and see what vast potentials are quietly lying within its depth. So this guy knows how to make money in whatever interest it is, really. He loves the earth and has a great feel for nature. Because of his kinship with the earth, he creates a bountiful harvest from nature's yield. To this king, money talks. He knows how to spend, profit, and wheel and deal. Often he measures others' importance to him by their financial worth. To the King of Pentacles, it is what you own, not how you think that counts. He is a great financier, but he also has excellent mechanical and engineering skills. Being a practical king, he believes in what his senses tell him, and he is doubtful about anything he can't see, hear, touch, or smell. Often this man comes from a traditional conservative background. He is especially old-fashioned regarding family. Possessiveness of loved ones is a downfall for him. Stubbornly, he demands respect and loyalty. He heralds his ancestry and responds deeply to the past. He is basically a cautious man, but will take his chances for material gain. The Knight of Pentacles has matured. Now, as the king, he finds his serious commitment to work and to establishing himself paying off. Spending and gifts are always his way of showing affection and love. Did anyone flash?
My husband, he's passed away.
You can see some of his character traits in there.
Yeah.
So when he was off, let's see what character traits could come up, okay? So reversed, whenever we see the King of Pentacles reversed, it represents that there is a bullying energy. So he may be completely materialistic and willing to do anything for money. He worships materialism and will turn to illegal, unethical means to gain wealth and position. He is impressed by people's status and social position and has developed a highly inflated ego in attempting to develop the same prestige for himself. His monetary dealings are not to be trusted. If his money isn't dirty, then his methods may be. And that is if they were like lost, like totally lost themselves and going to get money, right? This is where you can see actually where the mindset of people who are doing things illegally are coming from, right? In reverse, this king is stubborn and impractical. His expectations of his loved ones are extreme. Tradition becomes a dictatorship. This card may indicate a workaholic, or on the other hand, a lazy man. This man labors in vain as a slave to prestige or materialism. He has a bad financial reputation, is devious, maybe fraudulent with his financial schemes. He may use his money to influence by or entice others into doing his bidding. When reversed, the King of Pentacles only cares for his possessions and may ignore his loved ones or even his own mental, emotional, or spiritual needs. Qualities of stubbornness and inflexibility are indicated. So you can see where there are times where every man goes into a place where they have to deal with that, just like we do as a female.
Yeah.
Right? And getting into making the money and you know, losing their connection with family, and then they got to realize that they let it go too far, and then they got to try to start pulling it in, and some people stay in this and don't. You know what I mean?
My husband had to have cars. He had to have 2-3 trucks. He had to have.
Yeah, so he had an image that he liked to hold.
Yeah. Me, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, like me, and nobody would ever think that, oh, whatever, they wouldn't think anything. I'm just like, I like to be kind of camouflaged.
Yeah, me too.
So the King of Swords,
Yeah.
the last king. And so that King of Pentacles is looking at the present situation, right? He's not going too far ahead, but he's looking for the things that will easily get him ahead. So the King of Swords is next, and he is sitting in his present situation. And the King of Swords does not have the aloneness and sorrow that the Queen of Swords had. So belonging to the swords, he has fought mental or physical battles. Life handed him hardships, either personal or professional. He has conquered them. Because of his struggles in life, he can base his judgments on his own personal experience. He has matured since we last saw him as the Knight, having achieved success in some of his ambitious, youthful goals. Challenges have been met and conquered. Wisdom and discrimination have been gained. Being a decision maker, the King of Swords listens carefully and weighs cautiously all the conclusions that he is required to make. He blends honesty with diplomacy and impartiality with empathy, producing decisions that are fair. In a reading, he represents a decision that will be fairly rendered. So remember in the beginning, we were talking about how this King of Swords can also represent an actual occurrence. So if you're doing a reading for yourself, sometimes this king can represent a decision that is going to be fair in your favor. So if you're doing a reading about court or something you're trying to achieve or some kind of conflict, that is a good card for us as women too. Especially if it's showing up in our foundation or future. So the King of Swords is a professional man. He's usually, could be a lawyer, doctor, a teacher. He may be involved with a job where he receives recognition for his specialized skills or administrative work. As a specialist, often he has a position in life, career, home, society, where he's the decision maker. He's intellectual by nature. He will discuss topics of humanitarian, philosophical, or global importance. This king has very strong beliefs and yet is willing to listen to others' sides of a debate to ensure fairness is received on all sides. His kindness is expressed through his actions, words, and deeds. This king has faith in the power of the written or spoken word. He keeps his feelings to himself, preferring to discuss issues that are impersonal, so of nature, so like economics and world conditions, that sort of thing. And when it's reversed, the King of Swords brings an unfair verdict that may negatively affect the seeker. So a lot of times when this comes up on a reading, and especially if it's a female, then it represents there's an unfair energy. So how am I going to do with my court case? And this comes up upside down, then you know that they're going to be treated unfairly. There is injustice in play. Someone did steal something. Someone did lie. So whenever you're asking about anything that has to do with energies against, and this comes up, then you know, yes, it's true. So prejudiced and filled with malice, this king reversed seeks revenge. They're an enemy to the innocent bystander who incurs his wrath, so he'll just go after anyone. So he's like the guy I dealt with this weekend. Actually, that was
the honking one.
The honking
Beep,
one.
beep, beep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. He acts with vengeance, attempting to annihilate completely those who oppose him. The world may appear as a battleground to him. He takes up his sword and fights real and imagined battles, often fabricated in his own mind. His skillful cleverness turns to devious dreams. He plots, blames, schemes, and fearlessly executes his accusations. Legal difficulties may also be included by this king in reverse, and the King of Swords loses his balance and tumbles into prejudiced thinking and unjusted attitudes. His quiet personality turns cold and ruthless. His comments are cynical and filled with suspicion. So you just know trouble whenever those kings are coming upside down.
Yeah. Huh.
Interesting, hey?
Yeah.
So yeah, the king of, that represents everything reversed. So let's go on a couple more minutes because I want to go over those 3 cards. So do you have all your cards ready except for the major arcanas?
Yes, I believe so.
If not, it's okay. I want you to shuffle the cards and pull out 3 cards. I'm going to do the same. I don't have my majors in mind though.
Did you want them to go like this?
Yeah, that's awesome. You printed it out.
Yeah, I print everything out.
That's sweet because I went to click on it and it kept saying that it wasn't available, and I'm like, what? I didn't know if I got tagged or blocked because it said Celtic Cross. I don't know.
I printed out as soon as it came on.
Good. So the first one that you pick, so let's pull out 3 cards. So I always tell my clients, shuffle the cards at least 3 times. Now, if you want
all of them, or take the major.
When I'm doing a full reading, I'll use all the cards. But tonight, we're just using what you have.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can create your own shuffle. Like there are remember in the beginning, we're talking about cutting the deck 3 times. Now, if your client wants to do their own thing, let them. Once in a while, I'll get a customer that likes to do it, from the book. But I like the 3-time thing, any minimum of 3 times. Spread the cards out, and then pull out 3 cards. So the first card that you pull out is the first card. And then we take the second card and put it on top. See how I did that? And then the third card will go on top like a pile. So pick your 3 cards and just start a pile. You did it? So now, this is even when we pick 11 cards, you always look at the bottom and make sure that this card is never upside down. So when you have the rest of the cards, anything that is upside down past this one is meant to be upside down. So this bottom card I look at, and then I take it from the bottom and I place it. That's the first card. So that would represent the energy of the person. So with me reading you, and I didn't really focus, but the Knight of Cups comes up. And because you're female, this would represent the energy of someone that's younger, male. But to me, I get this as an unexpected good news coming your way that you're going to hear about from a male. So it's a positive card. So this card all would represent the energy that's around you, and a lot of the energy would be male right now. Okay? Or it could be a mother. If there is a mother there, I would say, do you have a teenager or someone around you that's below the age of 21? And then they would say yes, then I know it's their son. Right? Or if they don't have a son, then you know this is something that's in play. Something unexpected is coming. There's some kind of message, good news coming. Okay? So the second card always represents, and that's number 2 on that sheet, always represents where they're headed. So what was your first card?
The 6 of Swords.
Okay, so that would represent the energy right now, that there is an energy of direction, right? And that the spirit is guiding. And though the person cannot see, they are leaving rough waters. So there is a good energy of growth there. So for me, I know that in their present situation, I would say, oh, I see right now you're actually moving out of a cycle of difficulties, and that there is a clearing. You may not see it yet, but let's see where that energy goes. For now, go with the flow and see what type of changes are coming into play, because there is still some stress and conflict leaving. Okay? So what is the second card you put down beside it?
The 5 of Pentacles.
So right there, you see you're going from Wands to Pentacles. So there's a change in life energies. So that first card is going to be taking place for a month. And then that second card, and I'll do that, I'm going to be doing that too, like put the timing of things. The second card would represent the 2 months after. Okay, so the first card takes place to about August 24th. So the second card, the Pentacles, would represent September and October. So September and October, those 2 months, the energy and the influence around you will have to do with finances. And putting the finances into something.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? And it is because it was, what was it, a 7?
The next one?
No, what was the Pentacles?
The middle one?
Yeah, the second card.
The 5.
Oh, the 5.
5.
Okay, so yeah. So that represents making a choice. Financially in October, in September and October, there's going to have to be some kind of financial choice to keep the money going. And it's because it's a 5 card, you know that it is part of the path, but you're on the middle part of it, like 50% to where you want to manifest.
50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least you're out of the swords. So now you're seeing the tangible results, that your worries are no longer there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see whenever there is a suit change in the reading, that means that their whole life's energy is now changed too. So that also means that you want to focus on your finances and the ideas that are coming. And because it's the first card, those 5 pentacles will represent 5 tangible things within the year. So it's not just about where it is on the road, it also represents those things Spirit wants you to have. So I would tell my customer, in September and October, the influence in your life is going to be changed from you feeling like you're stressed and taking care of things mentally to actually doing more and seeing the results. And there's 5 things that are going to come into your existence this year. And that has to do with whatever you decide to do in September and October. And the reason why we have the pentacles, we know that even our spirituality is part of the pentacles, and even our emotions. So we won't be focusing on our love life, we'll be focusing on what we actually want to feel and have in our life.
And even in my reading, October's supposed to be my month.
Yeah, good.
You know?
Exactly. And then you can also see in that card, there is a male, right? That card looks like a man. So that means that this does have to do with a male energy coming forward. So maybe the first trigger is good news from your son-in-law, right? Or you get an opportunity or a call to do something. But the actual occurrence is positive. It just shows, you know, be aware and make sure that you're only growing at that time. Don't let anything drop below your comfort zone. And because they are both minor arcana cards, we can also change it. And you can say, well, I want to know more, and pull 3 cards and see, well, how can I make it more than 50%? How can I get to the, you know, 75, 80% of feeling that financial thing, right? So whenever you see that second card in the position, it represents where they're headed. So you would see a lot of mental activity going on, don't really know where it's going to take them, but they're coming out of rough waters, they're starting to feel it, but they're still carrying their concerns, to, wow, look at my money. Now what am I going to do? Do I need to grow more? Do I want more? Am I okay? Or do I have to like hold my financial ground? Right? Now the one that crosses you, what did you get? So the third card, the sideways one. So the card that is sideways. 4 of Pentacles?
Yes.
Okay, that's celebration. So the sideways card is never negative. So this card is never negative. It's always in its positive, it's always in the positive state of the card. And this is where we see what environment is influencing us. So because you have the 4 of Pentacles, and you can see in the card, it's a positive card, or it's a 4 of Wands. Let me see the card.
Pentacles.
Okay, so that means that the energy around you is telling you to hold tight, and it's protecting your finances in your place. So it's showing that there is protection around those finances, and look how it's 4 of them. So 4 of those 5 have to do with the energy that is surrounding and in the making now. Pretty awesome. So I would see that as a positive influence of protection, but I would also take that as guidance to don't be so hard, but don't self-sacrifice yourself, right? Like some people will go into a place of fear and they'll hold on to their condition of finances and that's it, right? But they begin to get stressed and fearful. Right? So it's just saying when that card is as an influence, it just means stay stay at a certain balance. You're protected. Don't dishonor yourself. 4 of those things that are coming are being influenced by spirit and the universe. So that's what's in the making. It's pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
And also something, because it's on the side, 4 of those 5 things would represent something spiritual. So something that they want you to do with it. And that's why they're like, don't hold tight too hard, right? So those 2 would make sense with the 4 and the 5. Pretty neat, eh? So
Yes,
do
it is.
some readings. I want you to practice on doing readings with those 3 cards about things so that you can recognize whether the influence, that card that's sideways, is positive or negative.
Okay.
And if it's negative, then that's how I know that there's a negative energy. Yeah, that's perfect. So then that's how I'll know there's negative energy and what I need to cleanse for my client. So if you get negative energy there, then they need to cleanse their environment. They're being influenced, right? So that's where I'll see, like, you know, the stuff we got to smudge. As soon as I see a negative card there, I'm talking about they need to smudge, right? Or if it's positive, they need to be aware of the positive influence that's there to help them. So as far as timing in the schedule, when we do the Celtic Cross, we focus on 12 months. This sideways card isn't a month. So right now, when you see these 3 cards, the first 2 cards, card 1 and 2, represent now, and it's actually 3 months' time, right? Because the first card is a month, and then the second card is 2nd month and the 3rd month. Okay? So let's pick one more card before we end, and then I'm going to add this as well to the other sheet, okay, for this week. So the 4th card we're going to pick, let's pick one more card from your pile.
Okay.
I got Celebration. So that's a good card. Happiness. So that 4th card, oh my God, we both picked it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that one goes below the one that's sideways. So it'll go like that. Okay? Now that 4th card represents their foundation. So this foundation would mean that you have a positive foundation. There is a new cycle. Your cycle is quite fresh and new with lots more growth and good things to come. And that your path right now, because this represents the foundation of our life, every step you're walking represents spirituality and feeling. And that's why you have a Cup card. So even though you're moving into a place of finances in August and September, or in September and October, that whole foundation is spiritual. Right? So it has to do with your wholeness. And it's positive. So that's pretty neat, right? So far, in 3 months, you have 3 different energies in play, right? Because these cups will represent right now and moving into the future. Until we get to the other card that's over there that you'll see. So so practice seeking the influence. Is it positive or negative? And what suit? So because it was a pentacle suit for yours, you know that it's a positive financial influence around you that's going to direct you to what you're meant to be doing. And it's more than one thing because you got the 3 of Cups.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting 3 paths to 1 for, you know, that superpower, right? Where you can be like, yeah, it's coming up from 3 different places. I don't have to worry,
Yeah.
right? So practice with those. And then once you understand whether the influence is positive or negative, and it doesn't mean reversed, it just means the card looks negative and it's gray, or you'll get the devil or the tower. But practice that to see what influence, is it positive or negative in play, and does it match with any of the other cards in suit, right? So this one matched your card, and that shows the manifestation of the influence starts to take place for you in September, right? And then take a look at the foundation. This is the actual path you're walking now. And that has to do with your happiness and your wholeness and your connection and so much, right? There's growth there, but it's fresh and it is new. So then when you see, okay, well, my path is new and it represents, you know, it shows October. Right on that card, there's pumpkins in it. So it always shows a time of harvest when the good news is coming. And to me, this always represents the mother, maiden, crone, right? So an aspect of the goddess and her fruitfulness.
Yeah, there's a pumpkin there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. So play with that, and then you'll understand, oh, well, even though your path right now seems to be, you know, a little stressful because there's changes taking place and you don't know when or why, you do have a very positive card and path and foundation that is moving you into a place of celebration where you are going to feel good, right? If this was a negative card, then you know, oh my gosh, the path that they're walking on is a negative path right now. Why, right? Is it the influence, or is it because that's their mentality right now? And then we want to get them out of that mentality so they can start receiving the things that they're blocking.
Yeah.
And that's what the cards are about, is like blueprinting and creating the path we want. So when I have an issue and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get that done? I go to the cards. How am I going to get that done? How do I get my trip to Europe? You know what I mean? That's where we put blueprints in. And then you'll look at it and be like, okay, well, that seems like an easy feat. Or you'll be like, okay, well, this looks like it's going to take 3 years. And the other thing is when I look at the card, usually this path, because we got this on the bottom foundation, this could represent 3 years. If another 3 doesn't come up. But if another 3 comes up in the reading, that's where the transformation has taken place, and everything in between is what made it occur. So we can get so much on one layer, we can get so much information. So practice these ones, and then on the next class, we're going to finish the cross part.
Okay.
And we'll add 3 more cards to this section.
Okay.
And we'll be going into the major arcana cards.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's where those energies we can't change.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're universal. So I can't wait to get into that.
Same here.
So I will get this sent over to you. Tonight I have a class until about 8. So tomorrow you'll probably get a copy of this one.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Okay, well, practice.
I will.
Okay, it was good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.